Hello, welcome to another One Simple Voice seminar where I go over the teachings of Frannie Rose and what is coming out of One Simple Voice. Today we're going to look at the difference between Christian Theism and Panentheism. This is very important and is the most fundamental, basic distinction between the teachings of the Catholic Church and the heresies that are included in One Simple Voice. It is very important to recognize that the Catholic Church teaches Christian theism, and it is heresy to believe in panentheism. It always has been and always will be. So let's look at these distinctions. What is Christian theism? God is the transcendent creator of the universe. According to Ott, all that exists outside God was, in its whole substance, produced out of nothing by God. In other words, there is a strict creator-creature distinction. All right, creation is ex nihilo. All right, it's from nothing. It's not from himself or some pre-existing material. It's from nothing. We are completely distinct. Even in being created by God, we are distinct. And I like to use what is called a sponge analogy. And in my previous video, I spoke of everything is water. There's no sky, there's no land. Just imagine everything water. And then all of a sudden, there's this sponge. And I like to think of the sponge as one of those large yellow sponges that are used to wash cars. And water is saturating, right? Completely saturating this sponge. It's everywhere, okay? But the water is not the sponge, and the sponge is not the water. There's a distinction between the sponge and the water, but yet there's a closeness, all right? There's a presence of the water everywhere. That is to speak of the immanence of God. There's a verse in Acts that kind of captures this as well. Yet he is not far from each one of us, and in him we live and move and have our being. As even your poets have said, for we are his offspring. So God is the immanent conservator of the universe as well. Creation is preserved from slipping back into the nothingness from which God created it. Creation is sustained and governed according to the design which was most pleasing to him, and that God entered into this creation through the incarnation of Christ, a union of two natures which maintained each nature without mingling, without change. The distinction of the natures nowhere removed on account of the union. So even in Christ, the divine nature and the human nature are never meshed. And this reveals to us our relationship to God. We were created from nothing. We are not part of God in any way at all. So extra divine things, things that are not God, extra divine things are not part of God's essence. Okay, we're not God's body. We do not complete him. We're not God in any way nor to any degree whatsoever. Right? Nor are we an emanation from God, nor formed from pre-existent material. Extra divine things include angels, our soul, our body, and the entire universe. Everything that we are is created. And it's important to note here that from a Christian perspective, God created angels. All right? And about a third of these angels fell, all right, when Lucifer rebelled and the archangel Michael drove them from heaven. All right? And they are a force for evil in our world. They tempt us. They try to lead us astray with false teachings. All right? So it's very important that anything that is false are used by the evil one to draw us away from God. But as we will see from a panentheistic perspective, they say everything is God. I have no idea what they do with angels within that type of system. So the Catholic faith also obliges us to hold firmly that our souls are immediately created by God. Even our souls are immediately created by God. that each individual soul is created by God out of nothing at the moment of its unification with the body. What this means is that the Catholic Church teaches that our soul is created and infused at the moment of conception, and that at the moment of death we will face the particular judgment. So the notion of reincarnation is contrary to Catholic doctrine. Therefore, there is an absolute distinction between the transcendent God, who is wholly other, and what we are. No aspect of ourselves were nor ever will be God in any way to any degree. This is Christian Theism. God is uncreated. We are created. God is infinite. We are finite. God is necessary. We are contingent. God is pure actuality. We are potential. We are completely separate and distinct, just as the two natures are within Christ. So, knowing what the Catholic Church teaches, all right, in order to remain Catholic, we need to continue to maintain these teachings of the Catholic Church. We need to defend them. We need to teach them. We need to believe them. So we also need to guard ourselves against views that are contrary to it, such as Panentheism. But what is Panentheism? In the Greek, it means pan, everything, in means in, and theos means God. Everything in God. Now, at first, that may sound, okay, that's very much like the in Him we move and live and have our being. This is talking about the immanence of God. But it's not. What it's saying is the theory that the world is part of God, though not the whole of His being. A part of God is the universe, and a part is simply God. The belief that the being of God includes the whole universe, so that every part of it exists in Him, but that His being is more than and is not exhausted by the universe. All right, so what it's saying is that there isn't a distinction. Okay, the cosmos, the universe, everything that we say was created is actually just part of God. It's part of Him. Okay, this is heresy. Frannie Rose says, God gave each of us a piece of God's self. And of course, this reminds us of what we encountered in our previous video, where the prophet said, He gave you a divine self. The Claire prophet and her husband. He gave you a divine self. This is coming straight out of the New Age. She also says, God was in everything around me, inside me, and greater than what was around me, inside me. God was all and more. That's a great definition of Panentheism. God was all and more. She also says that we are a spark of God's self. God is the very essence of our spirit. Once again, there's no creator-creature distinction. She is saying that God is the very essence of our spirit, that we are God. She also says we're not going to become a mind, we're going to be God. Infinite mind. She's saying that as you go through this process of emptying your mind and engaging in her teachings, you will find that you're God. You are unlimited mind. So Frannie teaches Panentheism, both in her book The Invitation and through One Simple Voice. Her Panentheism is the basis for her teaching of the true self, of perfection, of God consciousness. She also says in The Invitation concerning the true self, God plus the seeds of the Spirit equal the true self, we. So your true self includes God. You are God. She also says you are originally unlimited and perfect, because she's saying this is a part of you, that this is God. She also says that God consciousness is infinite. It's eternal, unlimited by thought and perception. I am unrefined by the ego. And once again, we had also heard this, I am presence, that is Christ, is also ours. So that's the Panentheism of Frannie Rose. I do appreciate you watching, and continue to watch along as we distinguish Catholic teaching from the teachings of the New Age teachings of Frannie Rose.